Hello dear senseiers. In this video we will talk about the full moon in Aquarius happening on the 1st of August at 6:31 p.m. in UK time zone. We will talk as well about what having the moon in Aquarius means, how the cosmic weather is looking like, and at the end some tips for making the best of this full moon, as well as some mini predictions for each sign and an archetype card. This full moon comes intuitively to me as a very airy full moon, because air is the element of Aquarius, and air is very light. It floats a bit like that Pocahontas Disney song about the wind. It's kind of feeling very light to me, this full moon. And also is a bit of a resting moment for our minds, from all the tension that the Pluto squaring the nodes has been doing, and the intensity of everything that's been going on in the world around us. So it's like having a bit of a space to just take a break. We are in the Leo Sun season, which is usually the apex of summer, where we are thinking about holidays, beach, celebration, having fun, spending time with loved ones, with children, playing, spending time with the kids, some leisure time, as we go more and more into the month of August. Most people are going for some well-deserved holidays, wanting to go somewhere nice and somewhere warm. Aquarius sign seemingly opposes this tendency. It's a sign that belongs to the old age, because it's a sign that is sandwiched between old Capricorn and just before Pisces, which represents the last stage of life just before death. So it's an old sign. However, because being an air sign usually keeps the mind young, this is at the same time somewhat of a youthful sign, always looking to innovate, looking to progress, looking towards new ideas, new scientific discoveries, and being ahead of its time. Aquarius is a sign of the future, of tomorrow. Is when in the zodiacal order humanity has already been primed by Saturn and Capricorn sign, and now is ready for the next stage, and this is Aquarius that is going to bring that, that is looking towards the next step in evolution. Aquarius looks at humanity as having reached the consciousness of being one consciousness. There's no real one individual, because the whole humanity is the individual, of feeling connected to one another as is almost one entity. Not yet fully merged with divine consciousness though, but almost there. This is the so-called age of Aquarius, where we all sing la 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 songs and kumbaya, and everything is just going to be easy peasy, and happiness and love and joy. Aquarius story goes in mythology that Ganymedes, if I'm saying this correctly, which was a mortal boy, saw that people on earth were in need of water, and so he asked Zeus for help. Zeus gave permission, and thus it rained on earth for the first time, providing humans then with water. The other story is that he was kidnapped into the Olympus to become Zeus' cupbearer, because Zeus wanted him for himself. I personally can't separate mythology from astrology, because all of it is like a science of human psyche. It hides so many secrets. And I think ancient people were not as dumb as we tend to think. They had a deep, profound understanding of humans, of the psyche of humans, of people. And much of the mythological stories, especially when we think that the astrology, even the astrology we know of today, was created by these ancient people. they had a reasoning to determine certain constellations having certain characteristics, having certain energies, certain translations into how they were expressed in the world around us. Nothing was just by coincidence or just by chance. We just don't know about it. What would the humans really be thirsty of in this story of Ganymedes? What does Aquarius sign bring to humanity? Deep knowledge. The highest knowledge humanity can obtain with the mind that explains the universe, explains the atom and the consciousness, explains the whole. Aquarius is not only the archetype of the humanitarian, the cupbearer, that compassionately wants to bring water to those in need of aid, to the fellow humans who are thirsty, but also is the archetype of the scientist that tries to bring new inventions to help humanity have not only an easier life, but to also reach the next evolutionary step. There are theories that Mercury, the planet, actually is exalted in Aquarius, which, if we think about it, would make a lot of sense because Aquarius wants to reach the heights of the mind, almost going beyond the mind. However, Aquarius is not only ruled by Uranus, the planet that represents the higher mind, as is one octave above Mercury, but is also ruled by Saturn. So there is a side of Aquarius that wants to keep the past, wants to keep the traditional, that can be quite cold, stern, and emotional. Moon and Saturn do not get along. They are polar opposites, Moon being all about the emotions, our inner world, and Saturn is basically the lack of them. So Moon in Aquarius acquires a less emotional tone, one that is more mental, cold, detached, but can connect to the human being, to the whole humanity, and see everyone as equally deserving of affection and love. It almost makes an homogenization of feelings where no one is special because everyone is special. There is no immediate family that Cancers usually speak of to love because everyone is part of the human family for an Aquarius. Aquarius brings an idealism that it wants to see mankind achieve, but that it may be too ahead of its time for it to come true. He is the mad scientist that doesn't look at the means to achieve its ends. So, if the goal is to achieve human peace at the expense of things like human rights, individual freedoms of a few, then for Aquarius, this may look like a fair price to pay, because sometimes that ideal it believes in, that it will make the world right, is worth it. Aquarius on the shadow side, they don't have patience to wait for others to catch up to their ideals. They want to see everyone adhere to them as soon as possible. And that is where the cruel side of Aquarius can manifest. They can force or manipulate others to get to that end without care of whether they understand it or not, feel good about these decisions, about these idealisms or not, or if they even individually agree with it or not. The attachment of Aquarius is with their idealism, with their mindset, with what they believe in. This shows the lack of Cancer in this moon because Cancer and Leo, they are very much connected to the heart. They are connected to feelings, to emotions. And Cancer, the sign of Cancer in the zodiacal chart, if we look at it, is in conjunction with Aquarius. So an in conjunction is an aspect that belongs to the minor aspects, is sometimes much ignored, but is actually quite an important aspect because it simply is one of the aspects that indicates there's no relationship, not by sign, not by element, not by modality, not by anything, not by rulership. There's no connection with the other sign that it is in conjunction of. It's like having a sign that is disjointed, basically doesn't belong anywhere and has no relationship with the other sign, which makes it difficult for one sign that is in conjunction with another to be able to understand that sign. So yeah, we have Cancer in conjunction with Aquarius, and Leo is in opposition of Aquarius. Aquarius may sometimes think that things like feelings for other people, more attachments, or the way that Cancer, for example, tends to feel things, are usually in the way of achieving higher ideals. In fact, being most likely the cause of the issues that we see in the world. This is why the futuristic movies of apocalyptic sceneries of futuristic societies have been almost always about humans seeing feelings and individuality as the issue, the cause of world's problems. Just think of Gattaca, Equilibrium, The Island, Hunger Games, Divergent, just to name a few movies where other people's emotions, individuality, personal freedoms, all were sacrificed in the name of that society that they were living in. This is what people rarely talk about in the age of Aquarius. The shadow of this age is that it can mean that to achieve the humanitarian ideal of the future, the individuality and the feeling capacity may have to be sacrificed in some possible context that we might find ourselves in. Aquarius can struggle to relate to people on a level of understanding each person's individual journey, their timing, the capacity to empathize with them, the capacity of an Aquarius to empathize with them can also be a struggle. And they also tend to make their idealism and ideas absolute, as if only they, Aquarius, can see the truth that no one else can understand and are sure to be absolutely right about it. And that being their intention, one that tries to benefit as one, humanity as one, then any monstruosity to get to that end, to that ideal, an Aquarius person might feel is justified. They are the representative of the archetype of the scientist, and everything has a light and a shadow side. So the shadow side of this would be the mad scientist who has no problem with his experiments, the crazy experiments he does, the Frankenstein creations he does, because he believes these are justified to get to either a cure for humanity, either to help humanity with the problem, is almost jumping all the processes that are required, that go along with nature, that be it in tandem with nature, because Aquarius is also squaring Taurus as a sign. Aquarius ignores all of that just to get where it wants to get. So there's a big heart problem here. Ganymedes, the guy who we were talking about, that was the mythology origin of Aquarius, was named one of Jupiter's moons by Galileo. And if you think about it, the gods, they tend to live above the earth realm, feeling distant and superior. In the past, the ancient would look at the sky and they thought the gods live up there in the sky, and they related it to planets and to constellations. So looking above to planet Jupiter, and for those who observed and could see the moons of Jupiter. Galileo saw that and he thought to give this name, but there's always a deeper meaning to things, especially in astrology. And we have human who was basically taken to the residence of Zeus, distancing himself from the more personal, individualistic understanding of humans on a personal level. So this is just something that I think might be telling us a little bit about the personality of Aquarius. And of course there is much more to say, but being this a small video about what this full moon in Aquarius means, let's get to what is the weather for this full moon in Aquarius. So the cupbearer Aquarius, or the moon in Aquarius, is squaring Zeus, Jupiter in Taurus. Could we potentially see science bringing in or intensifying more news about their synthetic and scientific means to replace natural food? Maybe we're going to see some droughts because of water. Maybe we're gonna see some kind of crazy stuff that is attempting to bring more sustainability onto the planet, or help nature, but is more scientifically based, technological in this nature. Maybe you're gonna see things like that. We also have the North Node conjuncting Algol, the malefic star, and even though mathematical points don't usually exert much focus of energy, and unless they are in conjunction with planets, and being in conjunction with the malefic star Algol, I do look at it and I see potential for some negative events of a malefic nature that could actually alter the course of humanity's future. Venus is in retrograde in Leo, making us go through a process of rethinking and refocusing our relationships, our self-esteem, our finances, diet, fashion, and self-image. She's also close to Black Moon Lilith in Leo. So pay attention to any sense of vanity, of feeling that you're better than others somehow, because that means actually that you feel that you actually internally believe that you're worse than others. Pay attention to any food addictions or cravings, beauty addiction, like for example, plastic surgery addiction, or feeling that who you are is about your outside external image and what others think of you. Pay attention to your pride not getting out of hand. Now, also, we have Venus in a square with Uranus, so the desire to perhaps have a more exciting romance, some novelty, relationships, going out, doing fun things might be a bit at odds with staying at home. Whether you're in a relationship or you're not in a relationship, you might feel like, you know what, I just want to stay home, be lazy, do homely things, because Uranus is in Aquarius squaring Venus. And so there's a bit of a risk here to fall into a routine, or perhaps slowing down to a more natural, slow rhythm, because there's that side too, where this could be actually telling, maybe it's time to slow down and taking it a little bit more natural. We don't have to be going out all the time. As well as Uranus might bring some unpredictable, less pleasant moments or issues to the relationship that may come out of nowhere, or even start and end relationships out of nowhere that may either not last, or you can get some back-togethers with the people you might be breaking up right now once Venus goes direct. There's also the potential to have some past relationships, some past lovers coming back and saying hello. There's also Saturn in opposition to Mercury, where we might feel that what we think we know is not guaranteed any longer. Like the basis and the structures of what we thought to know to be the right thing or the right information may seem a little bit shaky, and we may have to question ourselves what we think we know, what are the new parameters to know things. Also, we have, from a mundane perspective, because the transpersonal planets speak more of humanity as a whole, I personally like that Pluto is sextiling Neptune and trining Uranus, showing that in spite of the mess of the current times, there is some kind of divine hand that is helping humanity move forward, as the current issues are helping with its transformation and access to higher knowledge and information. So this is a good period as well to for us to individually look uh, inside ourselves and see that all these times of a lot of confusion and mess and problems and issues, whether the rise of food prices and rise of oil prices and not being able to buy a home and all these things, really, what's being asked of us, having had the 0 degree of Saturn Jupiter conjunction signaling this new age of Aquarius, is that it's time for something new. We need to create something new, we need to bring to the forth. And Pluto is going to go back to that 0 degree in a few months. So we are being pushed to transform humanity and society. But are we going to go the crazy mad scientist way, or can we actually kind of appeal to Ganymedes' heart to bring the water of knowledge that actually will kill the thirst of humans? And on the personal level, what does this full moon means for you? So, on a personal level, this is a time to say goodbye to what doesn't serve you. Any emotions, any attachments, resentments, old ideas that are keeping you stuck in the past, perhaps the shedding of an old identity, or ideas you thought you were, the things that you were that were actually limiting you. Maybe it's time to say goodbye to all of this, to all ideas that were bringing you down and keeping you in a less positive state. Try to use the Aquarius method, which is try to seek proof to some of your ideas and thoughts. Try to brainwash yourself into your best mindset. Oh yeah, Aquarius is very much about brainwashing, by the way. Yeah, because Aquarius is the mad scientist that tries to find ways to control people's minds as well on the shadow side. So why don't you use the Aquarius methods to positively brainwash yourself with thoughts that help you feel better about who you are, that help you live to your highest potential and your highest life? Aquarius usually brush off anything that seems beneath their sense of intelligence very quickly. They do not waste time with emotions on repeat that are pulling them down, resentments or feelings that are heavy, because they usually rationalize them and thus are able to find that those emotions and thoughts are, if they are useful or not, to where they are heading. So this is a great tool that this moon in Aquarius can offer us, as a full moon intensifies the energy of the planet it occupies. So in your holiday periods, disconnect yourself from all the troubles and put a cap as well on technology, because this might be some negative sides of this full moon, because Aquarius can make us glued to our technologies and screens. So maybe during this full moon period, try to put those away and have like a technology break. So let's go for the mini predictions for each sign. And these are usually based on the rising sign. So if you want to check out, go by your rising, is more accurate. However, it usually works as well for suns and moons. I would check your sun and moon sign as well. Aries, you will have full moon in your 11th house of friends. What friendships do you need to let go and detach? Do you have any dreams, goals, projects that you may have to rethink and maybe make a decision to either go fully for them or to let them go. Are there any people in your networks that could be sucking you dry financially and leading you to overspend, as this full moon is in square to Jupiter in your second house? Your Venus is in the fifth house, so you may have a very active, intense romantic life this month, a bit like a Mexican novella. And for your archetype card, your archetype card is the orphan child, which is abandoned child. And this card says is a best known pattern in many fairy tales. Reflects the feeling that you aren't a part of your family or tribal spirit. Basically, the light attributes is that of having independence based on learning to go at it alone and conquering the fear of survival. And it will help develop psychic independence based on personal judgment and experience in early life. The shadow of this is feelings of abandonment that can stifle maturation and seeking inappropriate surrogate families. To the next sign, Taurus. Your full moon is on the 10th house of Cancer. Do you feel that there are any issues in your career that you need to detach from? Maybe it's time to rethink plans for the future, new innovative ideals that can propel your career forward, using new emerging technologies to boost that career. Just take care that it doesn't tax your body, because full moon is squaring Jupiter in your first house, and moon also represents the physical body. So make sure you take time for yourself and have a break, and take care with not overeating, because Jupiter can also make you gain a little bit of that extra weight. This is also a good time to think of things that you aspire to create for your life in the future. And for your archetype card, Angel, you got the card Angel. Now, Angel is also archetype for fairy, godmother, godfather. And the light attribute is helping those in need with no expectation of return. This card means having a strong connection to the angelic realm through art, music, or literature, provides a channel through which angel's presence is palpably manifested, shows a prominent, loving, and nurturing character, and is the fairy godmother, godfather, helping someone in need anonymously with no expectation of any return. Also, in the shadow side, we have acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance in order to have some kind of control or ego enhancement. Going into Gemini sign. Your full moon is on your 9th house of higher knowledge, of global travels. This is a good period for you to think what information and belief systems are not serving you any longer, what ideas might be limiting you, and thinking that the grass is greener on the other sides might not be actually the case, not knowing if to say or to go somewhere else that you might think looks better. Is your life expanding, or do you feel it's stagnant and narrowing down? This is a time to expand your thinking and take the higher perspective. This might at times come in conflict with your spirituality, the way you've been practicing your religion. And now for the archetype card. These cards of Caroline Mace that I'm reading, they speak of archetypes, and these archetypes sometimes might come with names that look negative, but actually each archetype has a light and a shadow side. And why I'm saying this, Gemini, is because you got the card of bully, and it's not that you are bullying. And the light attributes of this archetype card says it highlights your tendency to intimidate others and helps you confront the inner fears that bully you. So it's more about looking towards your inner bully that's been bullying you. And of course, the shadow of this will be concealing deep fears behind verbal or physical abuse that you may inflict on others or even on yourself. And also about the bully, we have the meanings that should be evaluated by far more than whether people are bullying you. Symbolically, we bully our spirits into backing down from challenges. Beneath the bully lurks the coward, which the bully masks. And again, in the shadow, is always gives in to fear by lashing out. So expressing that inner bullying from your shadow side might be expressed by you lashing out onto others. Let's go on to Cancer. So Cancers, your full moon is in your 8th house, and it's a good time to check your finances, debts, anything related to institutions, and how you can make money from services you offer to others. You may get money from people closest to you, but may have as well friends who either may ask you for money, or you may be or that they may be in need of money, or that are getting a hard time to get back the money you have lent them. So just beware of sudden money leaks. This is because Taurus is still with Uranus on your 11th house. Even though it's not doing an aspect to the full moon, this is doing what we call an aspect by sign. So that's a possibility there. And going on to your archetype. So Cancerians, just in case you have directly jumped onto your the reading of your sign, I'll say to you what I said to the previous sign, is that I'm reading these cards of Caroline Myss, and these archetypes, they have both a light side and a shadow side. So if I say an archetype that may look negative, it's not necessarily so. It's more that meaning of that archetype has both the light side and a shadow side. Usually the light side could be alerting us to something we might be doing to ourselves, or that we might be in danger of falling into. So in your case, Cancer, you got the card of dilettante, and the light attributes are the lights in the arts without having to be a professional, alerts you to the danger of becoming superficial in your pursuits. And other meanings of dilettante are a lover of the fine arts, who I already said never rises above the level of an amateur. By extension, a jack of all trades, a master of none. Amateur applies to the realm of sports or useful arts such as cooking or gardening. Both can alert you to the danger of becoming merely superficial in your pursuits, of losing the love that drew you to your vocation in the first place. The shadow side is pretension to having a much deeper knowledge of those pursuits than that what you actually in reality possess. And it asks you to look for a pattern of delighting in the arts or other areas of endeavor without going too deep. The next sign is Leo. So Leos, you have a full moon in your 7th house, and you may have to let go of relationships that do not serve you anymore, to reflect on the state of affairs in your love life, or how you manage your need for attention and a strong independence that you love in your intimate relationships. Check if your work life might be causing issues in your love life, and could you be working too much and your love life suffering for it, or could you be too much in love and it's your career that is suffering from that? And for your archetype card, you got the Pioneer, with the light attribute of passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. I'm just gonna look for more meanings here in the booklet. It also means to discover and explore new territory, whether external or internal, to initiate innovative fashions, art, music, or literature, which is very connected to the Leo. And on the shadow side, the shadow of pioneers is a compulsive need to keep moving on, always starting something all the time, but not continuing with it, manifesting as a compulsive need to abandon the present and move on, never settling anywhere. What this card asks of you is if your life has been characterized by a need to consistently step on a fresh and undiscovered territory in at least one realm of your life. Going on to Virgo. Full moon is in your 6th house, and so it's time to let go of habits, diets, routines that are out of date and don't serve you. Have you been working too much to the point that your sleep is in deficit? Or being too over-concerned with health issues? This is time to rethink your routines and adjust them to your holiday period in order for you to have a nice restful time and rejuvenate yourself and your health. Kind of take a break from work, basically. And for your archetype card, you have the networker with the light attributes that say to enhance unity through the sharing of information, engender social awareness and empathy. It also means expand sphere of influence by forging alliances and making connections among vastly different groups of people. Helps develop social flexibility and empathy that seeks commonality with those who might not seem to be potential friends or allies. Messenger and communicator have skills to disseminate information and power. On the shadow side is conveying information only for personal gain, spreading fear and falsehood. And what this archetype asks for you is to look for a continuing pattern of forging links with others to deliver vital information and ideas. You guys are ruled by Mercury, so this has very much to do with you. The next sign is Libra. So full moon is in your 5th house. And of course, you guys are all about romance and having fun. This might be a good time to take a break and perhaps go within and reflect more about your mind, your psyche. How is your love and relationship life going? Are you potentially falling in love too quickly and not taking the time to meet your new love interests? Are the relationships in your life truly fulfilling you? Though you enjoy having a good time with friends and dating, this full moon might be asking you to take a little bit of a break and balance things a bit out. And for your archetype card, you got the Advocate, and this card talks about, in the light side, inspires you to put compassion into action. It is also a meaning of, just looking over here, it has a meaning of embodying a lifelong devotion to championing the rights of others and a passion to transform social injustice, dedicated to inspiring the empowerment of a group of causes. And on the shadow side is about embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain, manifesting false or negative causes out of personal gain. And it asks you to ask yourself how much of your life is dedicated to social causes and a willingness to take action. And next sign we have is Dear Scorpio. Full moon, it will be in your 4th house, talking about family matters that you might need to let go of and detach. I'm not saying your family, I'm saying matters about your family that might be dragging into dramas that you did not create and do not concern you. So you might be wanting to actually, you know what, this drama, this kind of conflict, this situation has really nothing to do with me, and I'm just letting them go. And yeah, it's asking yourself, what family baggage do you need to let go of? And your archetype card is the Knight, with the light attributes of loyalty, romance, chivalry, and a love of honor. It also means associated with chivalry, courtly romance, loyalty, self-sacrifice, protecting the princess, and going to battle only for honorable causes. The Knight can also mean the warrior and the rescue, and it has spiritual overtones of service and devotion. On the shadow side, however, it means allegiance to destructive ruler or principle and having romantic delusions. And moving on to Sagittarius, your full moon will be in the 3rd house, highlighting the information you have been receiving. What type of information have you been receiving? Things that you have been learning. There are people around you who you may have to detach for a little bit, like neighbors, perhaps even siblings, that you may feel you have a need to take a break from. It is also a good period to perhaps kind of go silent and do a silent practice. We sometimes in the spiritual circles call it mana, or calling there are many words for it, but there are practices of just taking a day where you don't speak, where you don't say anything, and you're just going to silence to feel and reconnect to your inner being. And for your archetype card, you got the Eternal Child, and this archetype tells on the light side the determination to remain young in body, spirit, and mind, ability to see things with fresh new eyes. It also is a meaning of determination to remain eternally young in body, mind, spirit. So on the shadow side, you have the pure eternis and the pure Ella eternis. The pure eternis manifests as an ability to grow up and accept responsibilities, where the puella eternis shows up in women as dependency on those who take charge of their physical security and consistent inability to be relied on and to accept, and consistent inability to rely on and to accept the aging process. So it asks you to look for a pattern of resilience and youthful enthusiasm in all things, or perhaps a continuing immaturity. And next we go to Capricorn. So your full moon is going to be happening on your 2nd house of finances. So this might be highlighted even more, and the questions that you might be wanting to ask during this time period are regarding your investments. If you have them, do you have any money gains that are not working the way you thought they should be working? Is it time to let them go, or is it time for you to create something else? How is your self-esteem and self-image doing? Have you been too detached that you don't look after yourself? Oh, your archetype card is the Don Juan, with the light attribute that spotlights your positive seductive qualities, and also having the meaning of making us aware of following to the sex role cliche or misusing the power of romantic attraction. An underlying vulnerability and power to open a heart capable of deep love can counter its negative aspects. So it's all about opening your heart, people. And in the shadow side, the Don Juan represents a man preying on women for the sake of conquest alone. That is more for the male side, but both male and female can use their power of romantic attraction for private agendas. So this is the shadow of the Don Juan. The question this card makes to Capricorns is to look for pattern of sexual behavior in which the end justifies the means. I think it's more about where you might be acting more as a seducer, and these seductive qualities are not being the most positive qualities of seduction, but rather more calculated aspects of seduction. And the next sign is Aquarius. So if you're Aquarius, you're going to have the full moon in your first house. How are you feeling in your body? Because moon represents the body. What things have you been ignoring or too detached to pay attention to? Also in the first house, because you have it there, is so much about you. What things are you not paying attention in your life? What things would you like to create and see in your future? And your archetype card is Prince. So the light attributes of this card is the romantic charm and potential for power. True Prince is a ruler in training who serves the people he will someday lead, whether in a literal, figurative, or spiritual kingdom. Characteristics of generosity, fairness, compassion, and wisdom should be well balanced. But on the shadow side is using power for self-aggrandizement. Shadow Prince can manifest as a young man with great feelings of entitlement who uses his position and power purely to advance his own interests without regard for the needs of others. This card asks you to look for a history of preparing for leadership in one particular realm, I would say area of your life. And we go to the last one, is Pisces. So if you're Pisces, you are going to have a full moon in your 12th house. This is a great time to detox, to go on a retreat, to sit quietly with spirit and let go of all of the stuff that does not serve you. From your past lives, from your subconscious, from your life, from your ancestry, from your family. Do a mind and internal reset. Fasting, cleansing, purification, spiritual practice, meditation, dream journal will be important things for you that might help you. And for your archetype card, you got, ooh la la, you got, I didn't even know this card was part of this deck. You got the cards of God. So the light attributes are benevolence and compassion, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others. And this card is also the meanings of the ultimate in male dominance. So this card also represents the archetypes of hero of Adonis, and that's why it's saying the ultimate in male dominance. I think this can adjust as well for females. And the positive aspect is the benevolence and compassion. But on the shadow side, because all of these cards of archetypes from Caroline Myss have a shadow and a light side. On the shadow side, it can show despotism, cruelty, using physical attractiveness to get what one wants without returning love, using power to control people. So this card asks to look for a lifelong sense of great power, used either selfishly or selflessly. And we've reached the end, dear sinceres. I personally really love these archetype cards. I'm not sure how you feel about them, but do let me know in the comments if you can. I might start doing more intuitive readings of these cards. I really love them, more on the sense that these cards are an expression of our subconscious and conscious and superconscious, showing us the things hidden in our inferior ego and superior ego as well, but even in our psyche. And so I hope you enjoy them, because even tarot cards do that to some degree, but these are more psychologically based. And I hope you have enjoyed what I had to say about the Aquarius full moon. I mean, I could do 3 hours talk about everything astrology, to be honest, because there's always so much to say, but then these videos can become extra long, and I'm pretty sure none of you really enjoys that or has time in their life for that. So yeah, I'll just try to stick to 30 minutes or even less than that. And it's just a bit longer now because I've been reading the cards and a little bit of predictions for each sign. Wishing you a nice holiday season, a nice time wherever you are. May the cosmos and the stars be with you. And of course, if you have enjoyed this video, it will be such an immense help if you can press like below, subscribe to my channel, visit me at cynthiasincere.com. In fact, if you can even send me a message, it would be really helpful. If you can try to subscribe to my website, cynthiasincere.com, and let me know whether you've been subscribed or not, because I seem to be having issues with the subscription there. So I just don't know if people have been able to subscribe to my website. But yeah, if you can do that, that would be great. Send me a message on my contact form. And yeah, hope to see you next time. And may the cosmos and the stars be